As they race up towards the line.
Russell's going along like a winner.
With a photo finish between second and third.
Oh, it was close.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the SmartB racing update. I've got Joe with me, fresh off tipping up a storm last night in Hong Kong. Joe, how are you doing?
Good. I just wish I'd stayed awake to watch all my winners home.
Yeah, it was a fine effort with your tipping there. A couple of really good odds scored. We've got a really big weekend ahead, and we're racing at we've got a few Group 1s at Caulfield. We're going to be covering some of the features at Randwick as well, and we've also got a few features at Newcastle tomorrow throughout the day. The Underwood Stakes, Gold Cup, and Cameron Handicap. And we'll get started with Newcastle tomorrow, Joe. So I've got one to kick things right off here in race 1 over the 1850. Really interesting runner, City Gold Ready. Dylan Gibbons is back from his holiday, and I thought the first up run was not too bad of an effort behind Northern Eyes, who's won 4 in a row now, so it's clearly flying. But interesting runner here, Joe. You got to look through its form in New Zealand. It actually got a few lengths within Orchestral. At one point was 4.6 away, and that was an effort that's more than a pass mark for this, and then bumped into it a few times after that and was beaten quite away. They actually threw it in a Group 1 over in New Zealand, so it's the clear high raider that's of this field. And interesting placement here. I think it's in pretty well at the weights. It jumps up in trip. Looked like it was hitting the line pretty well last start. Might want a bit further, but I just thought on ratings and class alone, this is going to be extremely hard to hold out. And the money's come for it straight away. So I think that's a really, really good bet to kick off the day there at Newcastle, and good to see Gibbons sticks. So, yeah, I'm pretty keen on that, and that looks the right price at the moment. There is, as I said, 3 other features at Newcastle, so all the tips will be up on SmartB and back a winner there. We've got a few Group 1s at Caulfield, so we'll have a look there. This is on Saturday. How do you expect the track to play there, Joe? Do you have any suggestions with how you reckon it'll go?
No, Caulfield's a tricky track. It doesn't suit all horses, but at least the conditions are good. It's not going to be like, some of the races were last weekend where horses had to put up with hailstorms.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, it's sort of most tend to get their chance on the track, I think, but we've quite a few features on this card. We've got the all eyes on the Underwood Stakes, which is race 8, so we'll get started on that one first. We've got Pericles, the favourite, who was dominant last start, winning with complete ease. Barrier 11 now. Blake Shin sticks aboard. He's riding in very good form. Place Du Carousel was interesting runner. Across from France, 2 runs at the end of last prep, a second of Ver Sistina, so that'll have plenty of fans. Buckaroo also with a good last start win, beating Hinged, and also bumped into Ver Sistina last prep. That was this prep. And Faulkner Park resuming. 8 wins from 17, so it's a winner. And then I think the race falls apart a little bit after those. So have you landed on any of these, Joe?
There's 3 horses that I've been looking at. I was really impressed with Pericles at Moonee Valley last start. And also, I like Faulkner Park. Like, I know he's first up, but then there's only 12 runners, and 6 of them are first up here. And he won the Wagga Cup last season, and Wagga's Carnival's one of the places. I'm in the ACT, and a lot of Canberra people, we have our annual pilgrimage to the Wagga Cup. He won that. Then he went up to Brisbane, and he won a good one up there. I think it was a Q22, I think it was, that other horses were there. So first up, I think he's one to watch the market on. And the other one I like is the old boy Vow and Declare. Now, last year he ran in this race, but he was first up last year and he finished about 10th or 15th. Whereas this year he's already had one start. And if you look at last year, after he didn't do any good in his next 2 races, he was runner-up. And then he went into the Melbourne Cup again. So I think At long odds, he might be worth an each way go too. But it is a horse I'm fond of. So, yeah, I like Pericles, I like Faulkner Park, and Vow and Declare at those very long odds.
Yeah, he's been around the block. He's had some stints in the Melbourne Cup. He's certainly still racing well enough to consider for sure. And as you said, Pericles was a really good winner last start. It was a lot to like about it. It was knocking on the door. It looked so well placed, and yeah, I was pretty keen on it that day as well. The market just got stuck in, ended up odds on and 2.5 length win. So the money's come for Place Do Carousel. VS16 was pretty average last week, but that is good form generally speaking. And then just carved up when the day that Pride of Jenny just ran them into the ground when pretty much all of them carved up. So yeah, it's an intriguing race. And as you said, Faulkner Park first up, bit of a market watch, but it is a winner and it hasn't been away for overly long. It's only been a few months. So that if that's ready to go, I think the stable said it's quite ready to go. So that'd be hard to hold out. Good race that. We've
Yeah,
also
it
got
is.
another Group 1 race number 5, which is the Rossa Stakes. Another wheel. Hot favourite, 6 from 9 now. What did you make of the last start win, Joe?
It's a great horse. And isn't the Mars
Mm.
stable going well at the moment?
Yeah, flying. I've always sort of gotten around them. They've Eustace, and I know that it's just Kieran Marr now, but yeah, it's a good stable, and they know how to provide some stars, and this is one of them. It didn't really have any right to win from where it was first up, and that was a huge effort off pretty much a 4 month break, so for nearly a 5 month break, and it was carrying 60.5. So barrier one's probably the interesting thing for me here. I don't know what they're going to do tactics wise. It could get a bit messy. I'm not sure if they'll go forward, so I'm intrigued to see what happens. Next line of betting is Craig, who I was pretty keen on last start. I do think this is a massive leap in grade. It did only beat the Open in a BM78, but the start prior it beat Rise at Dawn, and that form's still 3 starts prior. So that form's pretty good. It's been held up quite a bit. Here to Shock was just behind another Will last start, so expect there probably isn't much between them again. And Jimmy the Bear is honest and he loves racing here. So good race. For me, Joe, I'll land on another wheel. I just think impossible to tip against. Probably looks better, destined for better races than this. It just
Yeah,
looks
I'm
well
with you
weighted.
there. Yeah, this is a
Yeah,
listed race, and you imagine it'll be in group races by the, you know, probably next start.
yeah, exactly right. I think my only concern is probably the barrier. If it gets shuffled back a few, it might just need a bit of luck. And barrier one, I don't know what the plan will be. If it goes forward, I think if it's a pair back or leading, I think it's pretty much race over. But if it's any further than 2 or 3 pairs back, it might get a bit messy. So that's probably the only reason there's a bit of odds about it. But other than that, I think it should be winning. And I'm sure punters will be pretty keen on it. I think $1.90 is pretty fair for a horse with this upside. And
Yes. Yeah.
yeah, I think that's pretty good odds. And I'd be surprised if he had a shot turn the tables. I think it needs to find some traffic to lose this race, to be honest. We've got a fair few features at Randwick as well, so it's a stacked day there. The one we'll chat about first is the T Rose Stakes. Interesting race because you've got Autumn Glow, who's heavy favourite. It's been ultra impressive to date. Its last start win was certainly very visually impressive, and the start prior it romped in beating Dawn Service, who was ultra impressive last week. So I've been pretty keen to follow these form lines. I was keen on Dawn Service. I'm keen on Wanneroo on the weekend. So I think this is a star. I do think that $1.95 is fair enough, though, Joe. I think Manal's got the runs on the board. It's 4 out of 6. It's a really good runner, and Amina's also got a lot of class. So I don't think it's as clear cut as it just wins. This is a big leap in grade, but I do think the ceilings, it is untapped at the moment. Really keen to see what happens. I think Autumn Glow can win and win well, but if it needs to do everything right from the draw because Manal's, it's not going to lie down easily. Do you have any thoughts on this race?
I'm with you on Autumn Glow. I know that
Mm.
Manal and Amina both have lots of fans, but I'm actually with you on this one.
Yeah, the form lines have just stuck out. I mean, Dawn's service was amazing last week. Wannaroos won a few times. I think anything that's had Autumn Glow form's pretty much been winning. And just visually watching it win, it looks like it's got a lot more to give going in the future. So, yeah, maybe an Everest contender, and interesting to see what it does here. I think $1.95 is more than fair. Probably worth a multi with another wheel. Race 8 is $1 million race. Fangirl was third when resuming. That was on the 24th of August behind Via Sistina. I think that she's going to have a stack of fans, one of the best sprinters in Australia. And, yeah, she'll be hard to beat as usual. Zoo Gotcha also saw in the top 10 rankings in Australia. It's got a fine record, 8 from 16. That'll be in the mix. Royal Patronage is interesting runner. It sat wide on Australian debut. It was actually over from the US, and it was a really impressive win. Won by a length and a half. This is a lot harder here, but yeah, it was a lot to like about it. And then Detonator Jack and Hinged wasn't far away last start. Zardozi's dual acceptors, so they might go elsewhere. Do you have any thoughts with this one, Joe?
I was just looking at this this race has only been ran once before, and that was last year was first running. And Fangirl came third behind Think It Over and Zaki, two very good horses. So I do like Fangirl, but I'm also a Royal Patronage fan as well.
Yeah,
And
it was a big win.
that's a much better price. So yeah, I like those two. And of course Zugotchi you can't ignore as well.
Yeah, I think Fangirl's stamped herself. She can be a bit hard to catch, but she's one of the best we've got, and you know what to expect. She just needs to be close in the bend, within striking range, and she can pretty much run down anything. I do think a red hot leaders track might put her at a bit of risk. That's one possibility I can think of. Barrier 9, they probably don't have too much other option than to stick her back, and yeah, if it's red hot leaders, then she might be in a bit of strife, but her record speaks for herself. $1.30 at the end of last prep, and she's easily beat Militarized. So yeah, she never starts much more than what she is now, but 220 probably fair enough given her class. And as Joe said, Royal Patronage, I'm interested to see what it does. They don't often sit wide in open company and win easily, so that looks ready to take the step in grade, albeit quite a decent leap in grade. The Group 2 is the Shorts, which is race number 9. Also a really good race. I Am Meves, very impressive winning. Nice weight here. J Mac, it beat Bella Nipotina, who I thought was a little bit unlucky, fresh, but all on as the winner. Private Eyes wasn't far behind them and is 2 out of 3 over this trip, 1 out of 1 over track and trip, and 11 from 36. So certainly a winner. Lady of Camelot had its fans fresh. Couldn't chase down Mornington Glory. That was at the Valley, though, so I'm interested to see what it can do here. And Marzu, I'm not too sure where Marzu's at. Its best is certainly good enough. It's probably wanting a heavy track, but it's that'll run its honest race. And then Half Cabin, I've struggled to catch. I'm not really a fan of it, but it was luckless behind IME, and it'll have its fans. But I think I mentioned in my write-up, it just continues to lose at short enough prices. So I'm with the favourite here, Joe. I think IME was really good fresh. I think it's got improvement to come. J Mac and, as we said, Kieran Mars in the stable, 3 out of 4 on this track. I'm a big Private Eye fan, but I think it probably needs another win now. It's getting towards D-Day. And Lady of Camelot, I think, will improve getting out of the Valley. It just, Mornington Glory just pinched it. I would be surprised to see that run a really big race. Half Cabin can win. I just think the market gets stuck into it more often than it needs to. Did you land on anyone in this?
No, I thought when you look at the betting, and IME is the only one under 3 to 1, and then everything else at the moment is like 7 plus. I think this is a race to just pick 4 or 5 horses you like and box them into trifecta.
Yeah, it's that kind of race, and I think it depends what IME does. It could regress from its first up run. And Private Eye, we know it's got a barnstorming finish, but anything leaders base, and it's going to struggle to pick them up. So I'll probably be waiting to see how the track plays, but I do think the market leaders are are definitely look in the right places there.
Yeah, well,
We've also,
I was just going to say it's fairly late in the day, race 9, so by then we will know how the track's playing.
yeah, if you've gone chips in private eye and it's red hot leaders, then you're in strife. And what we'll mention one in race number 1. I've got 2 I'm keen to mention, but race 1, El Castello, it does jump up from maiden grade, but I really like the first up win. I don't know if you caught it, Joe, but 61.5 kilos. I did give it a mention, saying it would be a chance. I had a second in my picks because my first got scratched, but it had really good form. Wasn't far off broadsiding, running second to it in the past. So it's it gave them weight. It looked gone and it kicked on and won. And even though that was just maiden grade, I think it's destined for some pretty good races in here with a nice weight, and this looks a winnable midway. That might just be ready to take this out. Tim Clark, I think straight to the front's a pretty good way to kick off the day. And the other one runner I was going to can, I'm not sure if you've caught the form lines, Joe, but Wanneroo resumes from a break. It was 2 out of 3, and then obviously beaten by Autumn Glow. So that's in race 9 at Caulfield for anyone keen to get on that. It's barrier number 1 and Blake Shin. I just think that Autumn Glow form is the best form, and I reckon that's a really good bet at $4. It's drifted out a bit, but it's that'll run at $4.55, and Blake Shin and barrier 1 was a good recipe, but at $3.20
Yes.
Autumn Glow runs, so we get an idea of the form. I think if
Yep.
Autumn Glow wins and wins comfortably, then Wanneroo is a pretty good bet.
And a nice price, yes.
Yes, $4. I'm a bit surprised by that. So yeah, just keep an eye out. Autumn Glow 320. So you've got an hour and a half to get it together. And if Autumn Glow does win well, then I can expect Wanneroo surely start shorter than that. Anything else you wanted to cover for the weekend at all, Joe?
It's the Kalgoorlie Cup on Sunday. I haven't really looked at the form yet because the prices aren't up, but I think all but one of the field came through the Kalgoorlie Cup at Kalgoorlie a couple of weeks back. So it's one of those, I'll be going to watch the replay of that race to work out my tips for that. But no, it's actually a really good weekend of racing with sort of 5 group and listed races at Caulfield and the $1 million race at Randwick and 4 group races. And Newcastle Friday should be good.
Yeah, and out of everything we've gone through, is there any sort of runner you're most keen to see, do you think, or out of everyone?
No, my race that I'm keenest to watch is the Underwood, and that was first ran in 1924, 100 years ago, because that is a race where horses often go on to win a Caulfield Cup, Cox Plate, a Melbourne Cup. Last 2 years, Alligator Blood has won it. So let's see who the good horse that comes out of that is.
Yeah, very intriguing race to follow. I'll probably say the runner I'm most keen to see is Newcastle tomorrow, race 1. I just want to see it with that step up in trip. If it finds that orchestral form, I reckon that's a ripper way to kick off the weekend. And I've made it clear I'm a fan of Gibbons, so I'm sure he'll give it every chance. Fingers crossed that can kick our weekend off. Joe, thanks for joining me. Good luck to everyone. And just before we go, we'll just mention to jump on all the socials, and this includes SmartB and Back a Winner, and you can find all selections there. Just make sure to follow Back a Winner on Twitter and listen to the SmartB Sports update as well. And that's about all there. So thanks everyone for joining us.
Thank you, Bryce.
Bryce is going along like a winner.
With a photo finish between second and third.
Oh, it was close.